Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. It is September 13th, and today's webinar is How to Avoid Scams and Stay Safe Online. Today's webinar will be presented by the FTC, Alvaro Puig, and Rosario Mendez. My name is Alyssa Atkins, and today I will be your webinar facilitator. I am the Training and Development Coordinator for the Native Learning Center. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This webinar provides a summary of fundamental concepts, requirements, and/or procedures within the allotted 90 minutes. The material discussed does not illustrate all possible scenarios that could be applicable. If you look at the top of your screen, you will see an icon of either a person with their hand raised or just a hand. With that icon, you can either raise hand, agree, disagree, or step away. Now your screen should look similar to this graphic here. To the bottom left, you will see a box that says Files. Here you will find today's presentation. Please feel free to download a copy for yourself. Simply click the item you would like to download, then click the arrow pointing downwards to download and save onto your device. Once the item is downloaded, it should appear in your device's download section. The second box labeled Web Links is where you will find our survey about today's webinar, along with any other links that will be seen throughout today's presentation. Finally, to the right of the screen, we have a chat box available. This is how you will communicate with an instructor and NLC staff, which is me. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to interact by using the chat box. Simply type your message and hit enter, or click that up arrow icon button to submit. Tech support issues should also be submitted here. Know that most can be solved by exiting and re-entering the meeting room. Let's all try out the chat box together now by typing in your name, where you're joining us from, and your tribal affiliation. And with that being said, it is with a great pleasure that I introduce Alvaro and Rosario. Welcome back.
Alvaro Puig. I see that there are some people that are still coming in, so that is wonderful, but I'm glad that this is also going to be recorded so you can watch it and listen to it at any time. Alvaro and I will take turns today presenting, so we hope that you enjoy our presentation and also learn about how to avoid scams and stay safe online. We also hope to hear from you, so please feel free to ask questions on the chat and let us know if you have any comments or questions while we are presenting. We'll also have some time at the end to ask for questions. I want to begin by explaining a little bit of who we are in the Federal Trade Commission, and then I'll tell you a little bit of what we'll cover today, and then we'll get to the meat of the presentation. So both Alvaro and I are in the Division of Consumer and Business Education of the Federal Trade Commission. The Federal Trade Commission is the federal government agency that has jurisdiction over consumer protection issues. So in our division, Alvaro and I create materials and information to alert people about scams and fraud that are impacting the different communities, and also to give them information about rights in the marketplace. And then we also provide guidance to businesses on, how to protect people's information that they collect and what are their responsibilities in the marketplace. And we do all of that through different areas, right? Alvaro and I are in the consumer and business education piece of the FTC, but we also have a division of enforcement different divisions of enforcement, and that's how we do investigations and we sue companies and people that break the law. And also we try to get money back when people, whenever possible, back to people that lost money through a fraud or an unfair business practice. Many of the cases that we established and that we can investigate and shut down scammers are based on reports that the FTC gets from people just like you, who talk about the scams and the dishonest practice that they see, and then report it to us. And we'll talk about later how to do that. But that is really important information for us, because that's, as you'll see, that's how we get a lot of the information on trends that scammers follow, and also information to stop the deceptive practices. And we also, rely on partnerships just like this one with the Native Learning Center, and I'm building coalitions with partners on the ground. So we are really happy to have this collaboration with NLC, and then now to meet you all, and we hope that maybe you can bring this information back to your community, back to your tribe, back to the people that you work with, and we're happy to discuss how to do that. If you want to use our resources, or if you want us to give a webinar or a presentation, we'll be happy to do that. So what we are going to cover today is we're going to talk about top scams that impact people when they are online, and how to avoid those scams. We'll also tell you a little bit about how to report the problems to the FTC, and it's very easy to do, and the importance of doing that. And at the end, we'll also share some resources that you can take back and use on, like I said, on any of your activities in your programs to help others also be aware of things that happen online, and how to prevent that, or how to avoid falling for them. Because they're always going to be there, but if you know what they are, you can spot the scam and then not fall for it. So what you see on their screen right now is I want to talk a little bit about our Consumer Sentinel database, which is the place where when you report a scam or fraud or a deceptive practice to the FTC, that report goes to the database called Consumer Sentinel. And that database is accessed by more than 3,000, or I guess around 3,000 law enforcement agencies from all over the country. So not just federal government, but state governments and local governments. If you work on an organization that is a law enforcement organization, and you want to be able to access the Consumer Sentinel database, just let us know, and we'll put you in contact with the people that handle that database. But the good thing about that is basically that, all these other law enforcement agencies are also looking at those reports. So they are sharing information. So if one organization is looking at a particular scam, and they're seeing that is also happening in another state, for example, maybe they can talk to the local, authorities there to see what they know about the scam that is happening. And so by sharing information, the cases get built, and we're more successful in putting down scammers, or at least in alerting people that these trends are happening, because it covers more than just one area and more than just one agency. So the top frauds of 2022, every year we analyze the data that we receive, and it's a way to alert people about what is happening, or at least what we know it's happening, because people reported it to us. So last year in 2022, for example, we got 2.5 million fraud reports. And even though that it was a slightly smaller amount than what we got the previous year, people reported losing $9 billion to fraud, which was a lot more than the previous year. So people are losing a lot more money to scams right now. And so that's why it's so important to bring this information out and stay alert, so that people know that these things are not really it's not just that you lost $20 or $25. People are losing thousands of dollars sometimes. And so in this image, you can see the top 5 frauds reported last year. Imposters scams were number 1, and that's when someone pretends to be calling from the government or calling from a business. And we've even heard of people getting emails pretending to be the government of a tribe, for example, that is sent to tribal members. So those are the type of government or the imposter scams. Online shopping was number 2, and that's usually just problems on shopping online. And hopefully we'll cover a little bit of that today that will help you. Prizes, sweepstakes, and lotteries was in the top 5 as well as investments, and a lot of that has to do with investing in cryptocurrency. So a lot of scams around investing in cryptocurrency and promises that you can make a lot of money that are not fulfilled, and people just lose money. And then business and job opportunities was the number 5 in terms of the top frauds that we saw last year. And this list kind of is similar pretty much every year, but we, sometimes it varies a little bit. Investment scams, for example, with cryptocurrency, that has changed through the years. We've also seen an increase in business impersonators, such like Amazon impersonators or FedEx. That where you may receive a text that says something that is from Amazon or FedEx, but it's really a scammer. And I think Alvaro will cover a little bit of that. But I wanted to make sure that I share this information with you all, because it just gives you an idea of what, the type of things that the FTC covers and the type of information that we can provide to you. So if in the future you want to reach out to us to share more with you on any of these topics, we're happy to do that. And now with that, I'll turn it to Alvaro, who will get into the meat of this presentation and talk about what to know about scams, specifically about online scams and how to avoid them. So Alvaro, I'll leave it to you.
Thanks, Rosario. Hi, everyone. So let's talk a bit about how to recognize and avoid some of these scams that Rosario just talked about. So how do scammers contact you? They contact you in a lot of different ways. They send text messages or chat messages. They call people, and if you don't answer, they're leaving a voicemail. They're using email to get in touch with people. And they're also reaching out to people online and through social media sites. So they're essentially using all the communications channels that many of us use on a day-to-day basis. So a question that might come to mind is, why would a scammer contact me? What do they want from me? And they usually want one of 3 things. First is to convince you to send them money. The second is to trick you into giving them your account information. Usually it's information like your bank account or credit card information, so they can steal your money from your accounts. Or they want to steal your information by installing spyware and then using it to open new accounts in your name. So let's take a look at some examples of some of these common scams, and then we'll talk about how to recognize and avoid each one of them. So the first one, as Rosario mentioned, is a scam where a scammer sends a text message with a fake shipment tracking code. And here's a screenshot we have of an actual message that one of our colleagues got in our Dallas office. So they send a message, it has a tracking code, and it says to click on a link to update your delivery preferences. In this case, it says it's from FedEx. We've also seen this impersonate the Postal Service and UPS and other well-known delivery services. And if you do click on the link, which you shouldn't do, but if you do, they'll tell you want a prize, and that's where they ask for your credit card information, and they usually say something like you have to pay for shipping or some fees. So what to do if you get a message like this? The first thing to know is don't click on the link they give you. If you do think it could be real, I get a lot of these notifications by text. So sometimes they might be legit, but if you think it could be real, instead of clicking on the link, contact the company using a website or phone number is real. If you've done the shopping online, go to the site where you bought something recently and check the tracking information there. But don't use the information in the message they give you, whether it's a text link or a phone number to call. Another scam that we see often is a fake tech support. So in this scam, scammers are pretending to be from Geek Squad, which is Best Buy's tech support service. In this case, they send an email that says that you're going to be charged hundreds of dollars to renew your computer and tech support membership. They tell you if you want to dispute the charge or cancel your membership, that you have to call a phone number within 24 hours. And if you do call, they ask for access to your computer. And if you give that, they're going to install spyware programs, and then they use that to access things like your online banking credentials. And they can use that to log into your accounts and drain money from your bank accounts. So what do you do if you see one of these? Again, don't call the number they give you. Don't use information that they give you in the message. If you think it's real, contact the company using a website you think is legit. Do not use the information that they give you. And if you don't have a tech support plan with a particular company, you can just ignore the message, because that's a pretty clear sign that it's a scam. Another thing we see scammers do is say that there's some sort of problem with your account payment information. So this is an example of a real phishing email that we came across that's trying to steal your personal information. As you can see, it says it's from Netflix, and it says your account is on hold because there's been some trouble with your billing information. It tells you to click on a link, that big red rectangular button, to update your payment method. So again, what to do? This is going to start sounding familiar, which is good because it's often very good advice. Don't click on a link that someone gives you. If you think it's real, use a website that you know is legit. Go to your account, log in through a site or an app that you know is legit, and look into the situation that way. Do not use the information that they give you. Tech support scam. So this is a very common scam that we see. Tech support scammers are trying to trick you into thinking there's a virus on your computer. Often they'll do it by showing you a fake pop-up window like the one that we're looking at. It might look like an error message from your operating system or a warning from your antivirus software. And it might even use logos from a company that you know and trust. The message warns you that there's a security issue on your computer and tells you to call a phone number to get help. So what to do in this case? Well, first, what to know. So if you do get a real security warning like this, it may pop up, but it's not going to tell you to call a phone number. So that's the clear sign here, that if it tells you to call a phone number, that's a scam. So what to do? Again, don't call the number that they give you. It's a good idea to run a security scan on your computer to see if it does detect anything suspicious. And if you don't know how to do that, if you need help fixing a problem, go to someone you know and trust. Software companies offer support online or by phone, and sometimes stores that sell electronics and computer equipment also have support available in the store. Another scam we see quite often has to do with fake IRS rebates. So scammers send you a text message about either a fake rebate or some other tax-related thing like a refund or maybe a benefit. The message, like we've heard before, tells you to click on a link for some reason. In this case, they're saying to claim your refund or overpayment. And what they really want to do is to install malware on your phone so that they can steal your personal or financial information. So what to know in this case? The IRS has a policy that if it's the first time they're contacting someone about a tax-related issue, they'll send a letter by mail. They're not going to call, they're not going to email, they're not going to text you. So that's a clear sign that this is a scam. What to do? Again, don't click on the link. If you get a message like this and you are curious about the status of your refund, the IRS has an 800 number, 800-829-1040, or you can go to irs.gov/refunds and see the status of your refund if you are due a refund. Romance scammers, another very popular and common scam that we see. So scammers are creating fake profiles on dating sites and apps. Sometimes they're contacting you through social media sites like Instagram or Facebook. They'll spend some time striking up a relationship. They're trying to build trust. Sometimes they're even putting in the time to chat with people several times a day. And then at some point, they make up a story. They might say they're sick, that they've been hurt, that they're in jail, or some other fake reason, but they make up a reason to ask you to send them money. Some have kind of flipped the script and offered to do you a favor, like help you invest in cryptocurrency. That's a scam. Any money you give them, they don't invest it. They just pocket it and disappear. And we've also seen another variation of this where they tell you that they shipped you a package and that you have to send them money so that they can pay for customs or some other made up fee. As you might suspect, in that case, there is no package. So, romance scams, what to do? We advise people to talk to friends and family. These sorts of scams kind of get folks in sort of an emotional state. They're invested in the relationship, and sometimes someone who's a little bit removed from it has a different perspective. So that's how talking to someone else about it might help you realize that it's a scam. And if you are concerned that someone is trying to rip you off, another thing you can do is do an image search of their profile pictures. And we see that these scammers often reuse pictures. So you might see something tipping you off to the fact that their profile picture is not real. So those are some examples of some common scams. The challenge with scams is that the scammers are pretty good at changing their stories. So I want to talk a little bit about some signs of a scam that you can always recognize and will help you avoid these scams. So the first thing is to know what a scam looks like. So there's kind of a formula, right? It's like you get an unexpected contact. It can be by phone, email, text, social media, like I mentioned. That combined with the request for money, for your financial information, like your bank account, or for access to your computer or your account, that's a scam. So keep those sort of flags in mind. So scammers make up a lot of different stories, but there's some signs to look for that can help you recognize those scams, even if the story is changing. So first thing is that they pretend to be from an organization or a business that you know. Often they'll pretend to be from a government agency, and they might use the real name of a government agency, like Social Security, IRS. Sometimes they make up a name that sounds official. They also pretend to be from a business you know, like a utility company, a tech company, or even a charity, asking for donations. And they use technology to change the phone number that they're calling from. So the number that shows up on your phone or your caller ID may not actually be real. The second thing is they usually have something in the story telling you that there's a problem or a prize. So they might say you're in trouble with the government, or that you owe money, or that someone in your family had an emergency, or that there's a virus on your computer, or that there's a problem with one of your accounts and that you need to verify some information, or that you want a prize in a contest, but you have to pay to get it. Third is that they do something to apply some pressure because they want you to act quickly before you have time to sort of step back and think about what's going on. So they often say something bad is going to happen if you don't act right away. They might say you'll be arrested, you'll be taken to court, you'll lose your driver's license, your computer is about to be corrupted, your account will be locked, or even your electricity will be shut off. And fourth is that they tell you to pay in very specific ways. Some examples are sending money through a payment app, transferring money through your bank, or wiring money through a company like MoneyGram or Western Union. And they like these forms of payment because they're essentially the same as sending cash. They've also turned to cryptocurrency as a way to get people to give them money, or gift cards. So they'll tell you to buy a gift card and then give them numbers from the back of the card as well as the PIN. And they want you to pay in these ways because if you do, they know that it's hard for you to get your money back. So we talked about some of the scams. So next thing is putting those signs together, knowing what to do if a scammer contacts you, or what not to do in some cases, right? So if someone contacts you out of the blue and asks for money, for information, or for access to your computer, don't send them money, don't give them information, and don't give them access to your computer or your account. Those are the things that they want. And so there's some proactive things you can do to try to avoid some of these scams. One of them that we advise people to do is to block unwanted calls and filter unwanted messages. So how can you block unwanted calls? There are a few different ways. Your phone likely has an option to filter and block spam or messages from unknown senders. Your wireless provider might have a tool or service that lets you block calls and text messages. And there are call blocking apps out there, some of which might also let you block unwanted text messages. A lot of these scams come in through our phones, so it's really important to protect our phones. If you have a smartphone, we advise people to run updates automatically. Those updates often include security patches that are going to protect you and your phone. If it's an option on your phone, it's a good idea to set those updates to run automatically so you can upload them as soon as they're available. And then we like to remind people to update their apps too, because those don't necessarily get updated when you update your phone. It's also a good idea to take some steps to protect your computer because criminals are looking for weak points in our computers to exploit them before the software companies can push out a security fix. So again, updating your software regularly is a great way to make sure you have the latest security patches and protections against security threats. So you want to update your security software if you have it. So antivirus program if you have it. You want to update your operating system. That could be Windows, Apple, or Chrome. And then you want to update your internet browsers and any apps that you have. It's also a good idea to protect your accounts. Oftentimes the scammers are after our login credentials. So take some steps to protect your accounts, especially those with personal information like your bank account, your email, and your social media accounts. One of the best ways to do that is to use strong passwords, and making a password longer is the easiest way to make it stronger. Another way to protect your accounts is to use two-factor authentication. Some services call this two-step verification. It's a great way to make your accounts more secure. So one very common method of verification is a passcode you get by text message or by email. That passcode is usually 6 digits long. It can be longer. And it's only good for one use, and then it expires automatically after a relatively short period of time. So to log in, you'll have to enter your password as you normally would, and then you'll have to enter the second piece of information to authenticate that it's actually you trying to log in. So that's a really good way to protect your account if someone stole your information, or if your password was exposed in a data breach. So those are some things to do to protect your accounts. Happy to take any questions. If not, we can move on to Rosario, who's going to talk a little bit more about reporting scams.
Great. Thank you, Alvaro. Yeah, I don't see any questions on the chat. I want to give people a second to see if there are any questions. I know Alvaro covered a lot of information, and this is a good point to, ask any questions, see if you need any clarification. And of course, this is recorded, so people can always go back and look at the information. All right, well, I don't see any questions. So I will move on. Well, one of the main things that we get after we talk about scams is, well, how do you report it? When people see or experience scams, frauds, bad business practices, or other consumer problems, the FTC really wants to know about it. And that is because even though we don't resolve individual complaints, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we do use the reports to investigate and bring law enforcement cases, and also to collaborate with other law enforcement agencies. Reports also help us identify the trends and know what scammers are doing and saying, so that we can alert people about it. So we use that to put it on social media as consumer alerts. We also have consumer alerts that we issue pretty much every day, and I'll tell you how to subscribe to that. And we also are often in the media reporting, helping reporters report this information. And all the information that we get from the reports is what helps us, talk about trends and tell people about the latest tactics of these bad actors. So it's really easy to report. You will go to reportfraud.ftc.gov. Sorry. And to report in English. We also have the report in Spanish. And soon we are going to be able to take reports in other languages. I don't know if those other languages include tribal languages, but I can find out for you. But at least right now, you can report online very easily in reportfraud.ftc.gov. When you go to the site, this is what it looks like. And what you do is that you go to report now, and you follow a few steps. The system is going to ask you, things like, what happened, what kind of category is your fraud report about, who called you, or who, if you say that you've received a call, the system will ask you, the name of the person that called you, the number that called you, if you say that you paid money, the system is going to ask, how do you pay? So you just follow the prompts from the website, very simply. And at the end of when you finish answering all the questions, there's an opportunity for you to put it in your own words, what happened. So you can also add anything that you want there. And as many details as possible. It's always helpful, because that helps the investigators and the attorneys that are looking at this reports know what's happening and what happened. And also, some people don't like submitting their information, especially in a database that is accessed by law enforcement agencies or federal government, and we understand that. So you can do it anonymously. You don't have to put your name or contact information or anything like that. It does help if there's contact information in case that there is an investigation and someone needs to talk to you about your report, right? Maybe they need more information. Maybe they need evidence of what happened, receipts, emails, things like that. So it's easier if there is a contact information there, but you don't have to provide it. You can completely submit anonymously, because we do want to hear what happened is the number one thing. And also someone else can report on your behalf, like an advocate, or for example, a legal aid attorney, if you have one, or somebody that is helping you out with the problem. If you give them permission, they could submit this on the report on your behalf, and they can put their contact information if they want to. And that way, if there is a need to know more about what happened, the investigator can contact that person and then talk to you through that person that you trust and know. So that is about reporting. Also, after you submit your report in reportfraud.ftc.gov, you are going to get steps to take to help you solve the situation, especially if you paid a scammer. So if you actually paid a scammer, you're going to get steps to take to try to recover your money. Like, contact, if you pay with a gift card, contact the gift card company immediately, and it will give you the contact information for that gift card company that you reported, the brand that you reported using, for example. And there's other steps for other payment methods as well. So you'll get some advice at the end after you report as well. So not only you're helping law enforcement in their investigations, you're also helping alert other people, because we use information to alert people about the scams and frauds that are happening. And then you also get some steps to take to help you hopefully solve some of the problems that the scam may have caused. Here I cover some of the FTC resources that are available to you. If you've been in other of our webinars with the Native Learning Center, maybe you have already seen these resources, but I really encourage you to go to consumer.gov and check out the information that is there. Consumer.gov and in Spanish, consumidor.gov are websites that provide just basic, plain, and simple consumer information. So it's really designed with a focus on the action steps to take, and has information on using credit, managing debt, and other topics that are important just to know as a consumer. So this is kind of like a really basic information that you would just go to learn about the basic things related to consumer protection issues and how to spot different problems. It also has a read along feature, so you could just listen to the voice reading the website if you prefer that method. It also has information on identity theft in addition to money and credit, which is also always a really good information to know, especially if you end up giving your personal information to one of the scams that Alvaro talked about, and then you may be exposed to identity theft. Pass It On is a campaign that we have. It's our most successful, I think, and longest running education campaign. It's based on research that we created online and in print materials related to it. The materials are very short and to the point. It's specifically geared to older adults. It's kind of, through research, we found out about how to best, or we're always trying to find how to best educate or get information out to the different communities, and in particular, older adult communities. We have found that things that respect the audience, that respect the information, that respect the fact that people have had experiences in life and are, can be ambassadors and can help others with this information, is very empowering for this community. And so that's how these materials are drafted in a way that basically says, we know that you have life experiences and you probably know about these scams and these frauds, but others in your community may not know it. So take the information, use it in your community, pass it on to others that you know, and help others be on the alert to these scammers that are trying to get your money and your information. So if you are interested in that campaign, I'm happy to talk more about it. All the materials are free. You can order them in bulk and use them in your presentations, in your programs, distribute them in your community, have them at the lobby of your office, any place that you think that people are going to be interested in taking the materials and learning about how to avoid frauds and scams. This is on the screen is the main website for FTC on different scams. We also have it in multiple languages, and it gives you steps on what to do if you paid a scammer. It also gives you general advice on how to avoid scams, and then it has the link to reporting fraud. And here are just other links that I always like to share with people, especially how to sign up to receive the consumer alerts. So the consumer alerts are blogs that we draft and publish pretty much every day with the different trends that we hear from the reports from Consumer Sentinel that people submit to us, or from law enforcement cases that we investigate and that we announce. And so it's very it's information that is very relevant, and it's to the moment. And you will get, if you signed up at ftc.gov/consumer alerts, you get an email. You provide your email, and then you subscribed, and then you would get all our consumer alerts on the email. And from there, they're very easy to share. They only have 300 words, and they're very direct. They usually have an image for social media, so you can directly share it, on your social media channels, or send it to someone over email that needs the information that you think could benefit from the alert. So, and then the print materials that I mentioned, you can order also for free and in bulk. You would go to ftc.gov/bulk order. And then that's where you would get publications sent to you for free from the FTC, and that you can use in all your activities or events, or even just distribute them to your family members. So that is the information that we have for you today. And Oista, I don't know if you have any questions. There is also, this is how to contact us. Our emails, if you want to send us an email directly, I'm happy to do that, to answer you or contact you separately. We didn't include it in this presentation, but I'll put it on the chat. We also have a website that is specifically for related to issues that we identified that were impacting Native American communities. Our previous webinar with the Native Learning Center was on this topic in particular. So if you wanted to look at that information, is at ftc.gov/Native American.
And there is the recording on our website as well. So if you do want to check out the webinar they did referring to the website, you could also email me as well, and I would be more than happy to send you the direct link for it. I'm going to go ahead and launch the survey. Please feel free to write in your questions if you have any while I do the closeout. Was there anything else that Alvaro or Rosario you wanted to mention?
Not for me.
I don't have anything either. I would just say that I know that it was a lot of information and we went through it fairly quickly, but in general, the important thing is, to be on the alert for these scams, because as I mentioned at the beginning, scammers are getting a lot of money from us, and it's not fair. And what we know is that the more that we talk about scams, the more that we tell people what we know, the better prepared people are when they encounter a situation that looks sketchy, or that that looks like what we have talked about with scams, and then they stop and they think about it a little bit more. So it's really, really important to kind of help spread the word. And we really appreciate all of you guys for being here today, and Oista and her team to always help us to spread the word, around Indian country on scams that impact the communities.
Thank you so much, Rosario. As always, it's such a pleasure to have you. And thank you so much, Alvaro, for coming back and doing a webinar with us. Don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but the FTC has done many podcasts with us, and Alvaro actually just did a podcast with us discussing how to avoid scams and stay safe online. So if you would like to see a more in-depth discussion with Alvaro, please go ahead and check out his podcast. And I will talk about that in a little bit. Our next webinar is September 14th. It is the Housing and Virtual Training Presentation Skills. It will be presented by Marie Bonville, Tribal Housing and Education Consultant. As always, registration is free. It will be at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, and 11 a.m. Pacific, and 10 a.m. Alaska time. As always, as I was just saying, all of our webinars are recorded and posted onto our website at www.nativelearningcenter.com under the Recorded Webinars Catheta tab. If you have any questions regarding a webinar that you cannot find, please go ahead and send me an email, and I'd be more than happy to help you find them, as well as finding the last webinar the FTC did. Check out our upcoming events on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. You can also check out our podcast, Hope Being a Native American, on Simplecast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. And once again, Alvaro did do a podcast on this topic, and it was released today. So please go to our YouTube channel and go ahead and check it out. It is an incredible podcast. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And a special thank you to Alvaro and Rosario. You guys are amazing and greatly appreciate having you on the platform again.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Of course. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Goodbye, everyone.